Fear is going to shout at you. Fear is going to be really loud. Fear is going to be something that you can feel in your body. And intuition is usually going to be very gentle and quiet. I find the intuition speaks to me when I'm doing things like blow drying my hair, or putting my makeup on, or walking. It's in the moments of in between when things are not loud. Sometimes your intuition, if it can't reach you during the day, may reach you in dreams. Your dreams could have messages of your intuition. And with fear, this is why it's helpful to do parts work, because then you can talk to the fear and you can be like, fear, what are you trying to teach me? What do I need to know?
Well, welcome to Biohacking with Brittany, the podcast where science meets wisdom. I'm Brittany Ford, holistic nutritionist, biohacker, and mom. And for years, I struggled with gut issues, hormonal imbalances, and the exhaustion of motherhood while running a business. Biohacking and functional medicine became my way back to clarity, vitality, and trust in my body. And that's why I'm here, not just to share information, but to share the practices and perspectives that truly shifted my health and my life. Each week, I bring you science-backed tools, honest conversations, and rituals I live myself so you can return to your own body's wisdom and create longevity on your own terms. Because your body already knows this is just the space to remember. Welcome back to the show, everyone. I am thrilled that you are listening today. I just got back from my retreat in Florida, in the Florida Keys. And it was, oh my gosh, it was incredible. It was incredible. It was 3 nights and I was with a bunch of women and it was so expansive. And I honestly could not talk more about retreats. Like it's just so high on my radar. I think I will be doing a retreat for myself every single year now, on top of hosting retreats, because the amount that you are able to learn and grow in such a short period of time is incredible. It's actually incredible. When you're kind of taken away from your work and your family and the responsibilities that you have and the pressure that you might feel, and then you're thrown into this basically like small mastermind, whether it's about business or health or relationships or longevity or healing or whatever it might be. Retreats are just this like really intense, beautiful period of time that expands you and propels you and expedites your growth in whatever realm you're looking for. And I just cannot talk high enough about them. If you've never done a retreat for yourself, do it. Like, this is your sign to do it. It doesn't even have to be one of the retreats that I run. But I honestly really suggest every single person should do one. My husband actually just did a retreat last week in California, and he came back and was like so renewed, so refreshed. And just the time alone away from work and your house and your family and just like getting a complete reset is enough to justify doing it. I cannot talk high enough about it. And it was the first time I was away from my son Callahan for 3 nights. And this is the longest I've been away from him. And he's now 16 months. So it was hard. Like, it was hard in the beginning. I cried the night before when I put him down to sleep. And it was emotional for sure, of being like, okay, do I do this? So I step away. And then my first night at the retreat, when I was first there, I was like feeling all of these feels of like anxiety and stress and nervousness, and wasn't sure how to do it. I don't know. Like, I don't even know what to say. And it really dissipated. It really dissipated as we got into the work that we were doing and the meditations and the focus on ourselves and growth. It all kind of went away. And I really just want to say that because I know there's so many moms out there listening who would love to do a retreat, right? But they think, oh, I can't leave. I can't leave my kid with my husband or my family for 3 days, or my multiple kids. Like, how would they ever survive without me? And the truth is that, and this is kind of what I learned, is one of the many things that I learned on this retreat. And I might do a full podcast episode, solo episode on the retreat, because I have so much to share. One of the things that I realized is like, we control so much when that amount of control, especially as a mom, isn't always necessary. And it's okay to like let go and let others step in. And it's really hard to do that, especially if you are a new mom or you have maybe a child with more difficulties or you have multiple children or whatever the situation might be. But through letting go of that control, we're able to give more back to ourselves during the retreat. And then we're able to amplify that back into our kids and into our home and family after. So it's very interesting how it's actually all connected if you just stop and actually think about it and take a step back. And this idea of stepping away to come back stronger, I just think is so prevalent, especially for mothers. Mothers are so sacrificial of their time, their energy, their resources. Like, what can I do for my kids? What more can I give? How can I give 150%? But at the end of the day, we also need to take care of ourselves and think about our longevity and our health in a very substantial way. And also tap into our intuition of what is feeling aligned with me and what is feeling misaligned and why. And so retreats are just like this beautiful capsule of time where you get to really go deep. Like, I just think they're so worth it. So I think I should do a full podcast episode on this because I'm just like rambling now. Anyway, my retreat in Costa Rica is available if you want to join me in Costa Rica for 5 nights, March 2nd to 7th. You know where to find me if you want to join. There's some spots left. We can also hop on a call and discuss it first if that is something that you're interested in. And actually, in this episode today with Krista Williams, we talk about retreats because she hosts her own retreats. And it was really cool to talk about that with somebody else who does retreats. And she is somebody who I have known about for so long in the podcasting space. She was one of the first podcasts I listened to, which is her podcast, Almost 30. She is the co-host and co-founder. And I remember listening to her podcast, oh my gosh, when I was 25, 26, about 6 years ago or so, 7 years ago, something like that. And I remember listening to her podcast and loving it and just relating so much to both her and Lindsay, and never thought I would actually be able to sit down and have an interview with them. But here we are. And I do have another interview with Lindsay coming up later on. And this one was just incredible. Krista is so inspiring. I really just appreciated her spending the time with me. She's so thoughtful. Like, and if you're watching this on YouTube or on Spotify, like, she's so thoughtful with her answers. And I love that. It's very rare that I have somebody come on the show who, when I ask a question, will actually pause and be quiet and literally just like hold the space before answering. Very rarely do I have that. And I'm over 400 episodes now. So it was really beautiful to see her in her element, of course, as a podcast host. She's excellent on other podcasts, and that was very clear here. She's also a writer, a speaker, a creator of the Modern Tarot deck, which I should probably order because I've been feeling very called to tarot lately as I'm like tapping into this spiritual side of myself. But she really does blend spirituality with personal growth in a beautiful, beautiful way. She has some programs coming out next year I'm also interested in. So we'll kind of see. We'll see how things kind of play out. I'm very open. Yeah, we'll see where things play out. But she really helps people embrace transitions, redefine success, and authenticity at any stage of life, which is really beautiful. She does retreats all over the world as well. She's clients all over the world. And I love her content that she puts out on social media. So I will link all of that so you guys can find her on Instagram, her website, Almost 30, their book that they put out, their Almost 30 book. I will also link that for you, because I think that's really important for everyone who's kind of going through that phase of life. And we talk about a lot. Like we talked about intuition, which is like my favorite thing to talk about with longevity. And we talked about fear versus intuition and what does that mean. And man, we talked about marriage, relationships, family dynamics, EMDR, therapy. Like, we went everywhere on this episode in terms of like personal development and growth. And I am obsessed with it and I loved it. And I honestly could probably do like a 3-hour interview with Krista and walk away and be like, whoa, that was amazing. So maybe that will come, because I actually am thinking about, for 2026, changing the way that I do the podcast and moving into these kind of like longer, in-depth podcast interviews. But you have this for now, and I hope you enjoy it. I think this is going to resonate with my community so much. And she hopped into my private community, guys, which is called the Longer Life Community. And I will link that in the show notes and on the website so you can join. I haven't publicly launched it, but I will just put the link if you're interested in joining. And it's a really cool space where I'm bringing all of my podcast guests into private podcasts for about 10 minutes and asking them questions from the community. And so everyone in the community gets to see who's coming up and gets to submit their questions. And I just ask them live, and then we, publish right in the community, and you'll see if your question is answered. And people love that. So it's really exciting. That's just one of the things that we're doing in the community. But it is a beautiful space where we are bringing together intuition and longevity. So it's this intuitive longevity space focused on women's health. And when lead with intuition, longevity follows. And so that is what that space is about. I think I'm doing bi-weekly calls, but I'm going to move to monthly, but we're doing bi-weekly calls. So you get to hang out with me every 2 weeks. Ask me all your health and wellness questions because, man, there are a lot of you in my DMs asking me questions all the time. So this is the space that we're building. And yeah, so I will link that, thelongerlife.com. And a shout out to Bioptimizers, who I actually took their digestive enzymes with me on my trip to Florida. And it was really helpful because I really did need all of the support when I was eating certain foods and didn't really have access to as healthy foods as I wanted when I was traveling. So these digestive enzymes break down the food, reduce bloating, make you feel better. They basically digest your food faster so it doesn't sit in you and doesn't cause inflammation or any other health issues like that, which is a really beautiful way of supporting your gut health and digestion anytime, but traveling is one of the best times for it. So you can use my discount code biohackingbrittany, and I will link that on the show notes and below for everybody watching so you can find it easily. Thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you soon for another episode. So, Krista Williams, welcome to the show officially. I am hosting my first women's retreat in Costa Rica in March. And I actually wasn't even planning on talking about this with you, but I'm so curious in your experience, what makes a retreat like this changed my life for a woman versus it was kind of low-key a vacation?
I'm trying to regulate my nervous system right now as we're talking because I have so much to say because I'm coming off of doing a retreat in Switzerland and then a retreat in Ibiza, and I went to a retreat myself in between. So I have so much to say, and I think that what makes a retreat really impactful, I think first, honestly, is as the attendee, I've seen this time and time again, you actually committing to the retreat and committing to the transformation and committing to the growth. Because honestly, as a facilitator and leader, I literally am top tier. And if you are not going to commit to participation, to letting go, to surrender, to feeling uncomfortable, to going outside your comfort zone, to changing your mind, to transformation, it's never going to happen. And I've even been on retreats myself in my work where I've been an attendee, and I'm just kind of going to see what's up and, kind of learn some things, but I'm not really committed to the deep surrender and transformation. So I think the full commitment of the attendee is absolutely essential. And I've worked with women who have been fully committed and then not committed. And it's they're going to get what they need, but it's going to be a different experience. And I think secondly, for the facilitator, it is truly such a mystical, psychic, powerful experience to hold a container with women. And that so much is you being in right relationship with yourself and your own energy, and you being a clear vessel, and you having intention and clarity in the masculine, but also having no agenda for transformation. You have to hold your perception of what people need to do. As an example, you might see someone, she should break up with her boyfriend. She needs to let go of her money story, all of that. And all you have to do is hold the possibility for transformation for people. And for people that are really in their scarcity or nervous and want people to have a result, that's going to be very scary. If you're going in I'm not sure about my worth, I need to have people crying to prove this. I need to have people having a certain experience to prove that I'm worthy, then you're not going to have a retreat. So I could go on forever, but there's so much in retreats that's so layered that I myself, even before I started facilitating, didn't even really understand.
Yeah. What do you think gets in the way for women going in terms of trying to let go? What is the main block that you see that you're ugh, we see this time and time again.
Yeah. So what I think will happen is first, what I think happens first, women attend the retreat, and there's so much opportunity for insecurity, for, to be scared. You're going to a new group of women. You probably have trauma with women, and maybe you don't trust women. Maybe you've been bullied by women. Maybe you've had women gossip about you, talk about you. You have friendship wounds or sister wounds. And then maybe you're also going into a group and, you feel like they're not going to like you. You're going to be rejected. So women come into retreats oftentimes with so much fear, anxiety. They're scared of transforming. They're scared of what's going to happen. They're scared of what's going to come up. And so that means that they're not necessarily in a state of openness, a state of peace, a state of, ability to surrender. So women being able to be with the parts of them that are nervous, that are scared, that have been wounded before, and just really regulate themselves and then call forward the part of them that came to this, their intuition, their true desire, that really wanted the transformation, and asking that part to lead. Because if you get called to retreat, there is a part of you that sees and knows that there's something there for you. Like I had a woman she came to a retreat 2 years ago, and then she came again this year. And the first retreat was like a different type of cracking, but this retreat, it's funny because she came back, and the cycle of her coming back the second time led her to have this deep faith of her being a mother and her having a relationship. And so her soul knew that there was this opening on the other side of her coming here that would give her peace and then eventually give her motherhood and relationship. But she didn't know that coming in. So people having the awareness that there's an aspect of them that's calling them forward to this transformative experience and really just trusting in that. But they have to trust you as the facilitator to kind of create that space for that, or no one's going to feel safe.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Tell
love
me
that.
about retreat too. Like, what are you thinking? What's the intention? Like, what's the topic that you're going to go into?
Yeah. So it's going to be like women's health and women's like optimization health, but like beyond green juice and yoga. You know what I mean? Like I want to do like all the cool longevity things, but I also want to have the spiritual aspect as well. So we are doing like a bunch of meditations. We're doing like a full moon ceremony, a cacao ceremony, and just like having these spaces for women to share. What's interesting is what you're saying. I have one friend who's talking to me about coming, and she's like, I don't want to come and then have to change my whole life afterwards. And I was like, so like maybe you should come. Like maybe this is something that's in your head and you're like, this is actually what you really do need.
Mm-hmm. I've had that happen a lot. I think a lot of people get afraid of healing because they are afraid they're going to have to blow up their life. Or they're afraid that they're going to have to break up with their partner or quit their job, or like they're going to go insane or something like that. And it's so interesting because in deep healing work, you just discover more of yourself and you just find peace with what is. And so I think that people don't understand that the agenda that at least I have at my retreats is not for people to blow up their lives. It's to become more of themselves and become more compassionate and loving to themselves. And that means they're just better in all areas. And so there might be a misunderstanding that she might have, or that people might have, that you're going to have to like change everything in your life because there's something wrong with your life. And also, is there a perception that there's something wrong with her life? You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of layers.
Yeah.
But yeah, people are afraid to surrender. People are afraid to change. And people are afraid of a lot of what sort of comes to the surface on retreats.
Yeah. Because I feel like you bury it for so long, right? Like it's on the back burner and you don't have to think about it day to day, right? But actually on the topic of spirituality, so I've been a listener of Almost 30 since like 2018. Like I kid you not. I kid you not. You and Lindsay, like I just get to fangirl for 1 minute. You and Lindsay are like part of the reason I started my podcast, because I was like, if these girls can do it, I can do it.
So many people say that to us. They're like, dude, if these girls can do it, I can do
it. But actually though, like it was like so cool to see you do it. And I was like, it's either YouTube or a podcast. And then so I chose the podcast, and now my podcast is on YouTube. So, but I remember there was a shift that you guys started talking about spirituality and like souls and deeper work. And I remember being like, what are they on about? Like, I am not here for this. I was there in the wellness girly era. And then I just like wasn't ready for it. And I was like, I'm not here for this. And then I got pregnant and had my baby. And now I'm like full into spirituality and like meditation, and it's made me a better human. And now I get it. But there was a while where I was like, there was so much resistance.
Yeah.
And it was like right before, like, I know you guys talk about like turning 30. It was right before I turned 30. Like I went through that.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. And I mean, to be honest, girl, we were doing some crazy shit. We were like talking about some crazy things. There was an alien year. There was like we had witches on. Like there was some crazy things. So it's okay for you to be a little discerning about like, hey, I'm not on this train with y'all. But like, I think even and you just experienced it with your retreat. It's like at some point we have to go beyond wellness as just what we eat, what we're taking supplement wise, and how we're working. And with the podcast, we started talking relationships and dating. And at some point you're like, there's more to life than this. And then you go to wellness. And then at some point you're like, there's more to life than this. And we landed in spirituality, and now we're almost landing, kind of like even coming back all the way around. But you have to continue to evolve and go beyond just sort of what these are. And I think our transition to more spirituality felt more like true to us and felt more like home.
Yeah.
And feels more like the end goal that people are trying to get to. It's like people don't want to like just continue to like eat perfectly and work out perfectly. It's like people want to find God. People want to find themselves. Like people want to know that they're here for a reason. People are searching for something beyond just what is basic. And I think our intention was to sort of help them find that, however their path may be.
Yeah. Do you think women have an addiction to self-improvement in some way? No.
And yeah, oh yeah, they do.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And that's what I realized as well, as I was like, all the self-improvement was just self-obsession, and it was self-sabotage in a way at the same time, where I think, we are so lucky to be in a culture and a society here in the West where we have so much freedom and we have so much comfort that we have the ability to seek higher learning and growth. And I think a lot of people are just using that as a way to make themselves feel like there's something wrong with them and that they need to fix themselves. And I think for me, I was doing that so much. Like I had all of the tools and resources from all of these people. So I was doing all of the diets, I was doing all of the workouts, I was doing all of the wellness things. I was just like running around and making my whole life an agenda of like trying to be better. But the better is actually the simple act of accepting yourself as you are in this now moment. And I think people really overlook the deepest core is like, to be better, you accept yourself now as you are, and to, do all of the things with the quest of loving yourself actually is ignoring the fact that you can love yourself right now in this moment.
Right. But how do you do that on a daily basis? Like when you're just bombarded with so much, especially on social media. This episode is brought to you by Optimize Her, my women's biohacking retreat in Costa Rica, happening March 2nd to 7th. 2026. I am so excited, guys. This isn't just another yoga retreat. It's a 5-night, 6-day, science-backed health optimization woven into feminine restoration, designed specifically for women's bodies. We'll dive into functional medicine and longevity tools, experience healing sessions like sound baths and cacao ceremonies, and recalibrate with daily movement, spa rituals, and farm-to-table meals that support hormones, gut health, and vitality. It's not about fixing. It's about clearing the noise so you can actually tune into your body again. If you're ready for deep restoration and transformation, you can explore all the details in the show notes, and I would absolutely love to see you in Costa Rica.
So the first thing, I think it's a really good frame of it. Like you're being bombarded by things on social media. So I think we have to have, what I like to do is have the anchor of the morning. So in the morning, it's like really anchoring in your soul or yourself into the experience of like, I am the creator and choice of my day, and you meditate. So your meditation practice is really calling in your soul, calling in the aspect of you to be grounded in yourself so that you can approach the day with choice. And I don't think we need to be perfect. I don't think you need to like, never get online or never use your phone, but it's like, I need to be like in resourceful choice about what I'm taking and what I'm not. So that means I'm choosing, okay, I'm going to go on Instagram. How do I feel today? Am I tired? Do I feel insecure? Do I feel in doubt? Like, is this going to be helpful for me? instead of unconsciously doing all of these things, doing all these things. But I think the biggest thing that supported me in my process was internal family systems. Have you heard of
Mhm.
that? Yeah.
Mhm.
So parts work, which you can do with a therapist and you could also do on your own. But recognizing that within all of us, there's multiple experiences and parts. And these parts of us, have been fragmented through time in our lives. And these parts of us have the misunderstanding that they're unworthy, that they don't deserve love, that, they have to be special or all of these things. So when we can take time and just love all aspects of us and even love the part that goes unconscious, the part that seeks for validation online, the part that feels insecure at times, that's how we really find it. So it's really the choice to love and accept what is.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Have you done any EMDR work at all?
Mhm. Yeah, what do you think about it?
I'm doing it right now.
Okay, how are you doing?
It's heavy
Nothing makes me
shit.
more tired. It's heavy.
It's heavy. Yeah. And I do it at the end of the day because like I don't think there's a perfect time to do it. Like if I do it in the morning, I feel like it would just like make me feel weird all day. So I kind of do it after the day. Um, but it's heavy stuff and I didn't really know how heavy it was gonna be, but it's definitely moving things for me and shifting things.
Yeah, you're inspiring me to bring that practice back in because it's so good. And I think for the listeners, it's with EMDR, it's really the ability to have both right and left hemispheres of your brain reprocess something so that you
Mhm.
can process it with a conscious mind. So, as an example, if I was someone that had trauma when I was younger, maybe I was, abused, that little part of me is going to be looking for that experience or nervous about that experience. But if we can reprocess that experience from my adult mind and know that I'm safe and know that I'm protected and know that I can say no or I can say yes, it can really help us live in the present moment. But yeah, I did it a little bit and honestly, it was very powerful for me. And you're just inspiring me right now to kind of get back into that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you work on like core beliefs, right? Of like, this is something I believe about myself. Okay, where is the history of that and how's that showing up today? And so then when you think of the history of it, the history of the experiences, you then have to relive them to work through them. And that is like uncomfortable to sit in because, like, we're kind of talking about is like you don't think about it on a day to day basis, but it's still like trauma, even like little t trauma that you haven't done anything about, right? And you've just kind of ignored.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think in EMDR, I would always like be in it and then I'd be like, oh, and now I'm thinking about ping pong. Like I'd have like a random thought come in to kind of like
Yeah.
distract me a little bit where it
Mhm.
would like pull me out of the moment. Because sometimes it's scary to go that deep and it's scary to live, but I think it's some of the most worthwhile work that can really unlock a lot of different aspects of ourselves. And it's not only unlocking the aspect of ourselves that was traumatized or back in the past, but it's
Mm.
the other aspects of like the inner child, like the playfulness, the curiosity that we also want to experience in life.
Mm. That's nice. I haven't gotten to that part yet.
Yeah, I know. Hey,
I would like that.
it's there somewhere.
Playing in the park sounds great. Um, yeah, a lot of it is like with my parents, like they split when I was a teenager and then now I'm married. And so like how is that impacting my marriage and my view on marriage and all of these different things like that. Um, and both of my parents are very different, but I think like I don't know a lot about your parents. I know a bit about your mom. I think that you've mentioned again, been listening since 2018. But it sounds like my dad might be a bit similar to your mom in terms of like narcissistic tendencies. And it's not something I've actually talked a lot about on the show, but it's really helped me start to kind of like actually see what that looks like in a day to day life. Whereas I just thought it was my dad being my dad. But then when you start to pull it apart, you're like, oh, like this isn't normal. And like this flip flopping and the way that he says this and that and the way he views himself is like not what a normal dad would actually say. But then when you go through it, you're like, oh, okay, now I understand this. What am I supposed to do now? Like you're left with these like pieces.
Yeah. And just honoring you and like loving you in the process of
Mm.
um, sort of like untangling the web of narcissism and narcissistic abuse, we'll say.
Yeah.
I remember having that experience a few years ago of realizing that I was in that dynamic. And I honestly, you see reality completely differently. You actually are like awakening to the true reality rather than the reality that is sort of created and forced upon you, or sort of you're gaslit into like a different reality or a different experience. And it can be very disorienting to really reorient yourself to your father, to the truth, to, how you experienced him as a child and how he is today. And it's a lot of like figuring out where everything lands. And I remember that with my mother as well, being able to see it clearly, the pattern that we were in. And as a child, you're just taking them in as they are. You believe what they say, you follow their lead, you trust them, you have to survive.
Mhm.
And then to realize that it's not really what you thought is sort of can be really challenging and can be very confusing at times. So yeah, I very much understand and relate. And it's very painful. I think a lot of people, especially probably your listeners, a lot of women have experienced being in relationship or, being raised by someone that's a narcissist, which essentially is someone that's incredibly emotionally immature. So it's just deep emotional immaturity at the baseline.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really nice way to put it.
Yeah, it is. That's how I had to give. It helps me give a little compassion,
Yeah.
From that point. But I've had my moments with things, but you know,
Mm.
there was a moment for me to be the victim of things, and then there was a moment for me to realize that I was the one choosing this situation once I was consciously aware of it, and that meant that I had to see them with loving eyes at some point to find freedom. Because if I wasn't, then I was still caught up in the dynamic. Do you know what I mean?
I love that. Yeah, this victim mentality I see everywhere. I see it in like my family as well and friends actually.
Yeah,
And very
you're dealing with a narcissist. They're number one victim.
yes.
Number
Yeah.
one victim. No one's a
Yeah.
bigger victim.
Yeah, and it's hard though. It's hard when you are on the outside and you see someone being a victim and um it's hard because it's like, do I say something? Do I not say something? Even with my friends who are in, again, like relationships that might not be like serving them,
Yeah.
but they're playing victim to it. And it's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? But also, like, you're on your own journey. So I'm just going to step back and support.
Yeah. I totally know. I think for all women, that's like a path we go on, and a journey that we go on with women and our friends that we love, is watching them be in dynamics or relationships that don't ultimately serve them,
Yeah.
but knowing that they're there for a reason. I think for me, I now choose relationships with friends that are in their growth journey and their growth path, so that I know that in time they will see the pattern eventually. It's not like a requirement where I'm like, you have to change this dynamic or break up with this person, but it's like, um, I don't want to be around women that just complain about their relationship all day, or
Yeah.
that's not service to me or service to them. And so I think by being hopefully a loving mirror or a witness, or sort of calling them forward of like, what is it that you're getting from this relationship if you're still in it, or what feels like the reason you're still here, or what have you done? You know what I mean? Like, have you communicated? Because there is a lot of responsibility that we can take if we're communicating accurately, if we're doing our own work, that ultimately ends up shifting the relationship anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. I love to just ask, like, how do you feel about this? Like, oh, he said that. Like, how did that make you feel?
Yeah. Oh my
Right.
gosh. Totally.
Because,
Yeah.
like, I could totally say, hey, that's like completely inappropriate. What a terrible person, blah, 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 all these things. But they might not need to hear that from me.
Yeah. And it's hard because, oftentimes if you're in a situation where someone's sharing something with you, they have a very vulnerable part that's
Yeah.
present. And that
Yeah.
vulnerable part is going to shut down if you like call them out. So
Mhm.
it is like curiosity, staying open, all of these things.
Yeah.
Um, I think this is where I like to bring play and laughter and like joking. Like a lot of my friends, we make fun of each other. And so it's like, I can kind of make fun of them or call something forward in a playful way where I'm like, wait, what? You know what I mean? Like in a
Yeah.
curious, but like, what's going on type of way? Like, okay. Um, and I think always if I have an opinion or perspective, it's like, I'll just put like hand over heart, like, do you want to be helped or do you want to be heard? Like, do you want my truthful opinion or do you want to just be heard? And I'm available to just hear you. But if you want my actual like feedback as someone that you respect, I'm happy to give
Mhm.
that as well. Um, but even taking responsibility, like I've been in situations, where it's been too long and I've had to be in my own process of discovery of the lessons that I was learning in the relationship. And sometimes people just gotta get ready on their own. And as much as we want them
Yeah.
ready, they might not be.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so interesting talking about like just being ready and being on the growth journey. Cause I actually said this to my therapist. I was like, I've been working with you for, 6 years. Like, why didn't we do EMDR 6 years ago? Like, why am I waiting till now to do this? But then she's like, do you really think like you could have handled this 6 years ago? But then I'm like, well, I would have been so much further on my journey if I'd done it 6 years ago,
Oh,
you know?
I love that comment. It's so funny. I have so many women that I work with, and I probably do this too. I'm not saying I don't, but it's like it's so funny. Right when we like discover something, it's like that's so good and liberating. We're like, I should have known. It's like, what are you talking? You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like no, like this is the perfect place at the perfect time in the perfect situation, and you shouldn't have known because you didn't know. So now you know, and you're on the right path, and you do have to be. That's what I also know with women that I work with and coach and teach. It's like there is some women aren't ready for the truth and some people aren't ready for the truth. And it's not my job to tell them the truth. It's not my job to make them see the truth. It's my job to love them and help them discover themselves enough to know that they can find the truth themselves or they can hear the truth. So I just sort of remind myself of that as well because, we do have to be ready in a way to receive certain information. And I even received information about something that happened in my past, like a few weeks ago, at this retreat that I had to be ready for, and
Mm.
I wasn't, but I don't think I would have been able to be with it at any other time in my life other than like who I am now.
Yeah. That's really beautiful. It's like divine timing.
Very divine, yes. Uh-huh. Yep. I'm like, yeah, this, yeah. I'm like, yeah, literally. I'm like, yeah, sure. Divine timing.
Oh.
Divine it is.
Yeah. I mean, well, there is an element of divine timing, I think, like you're saying, right? Um,
But I'm proud
and
of
I,
you for that, and especially for like looking at the patterns as it relates to like beliefs on marriage and relationship and sort of, giving yourself the opportunity to rewrite whatever story you have and step into the
Mhm.
type of marriage that you know that you want outside of the fear, outside of the stress, outside of the beliefs that were sort of imposed upon you.
Well, yeah. I mean, like, we really don't have to go into my background, but like, there's just so much divorce on my side of the family that I'm almost like hyper aware of it. And so there's like this whole aspect I feel of like pressure to succeed,
I hear
which
you.
is
And
something, yeah,
success means staying married.
yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Regardless of happiness or not.
No, 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 no. Like happily married, I guess is a better way to put it. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Of course. Yeah,
Yeah. It's good to get curious because someone could be like, yeah, no matter what,
that's true.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, people stay together all the time and they stay together for the kids, right? And then the kids move out at 18 and then they break up or whatever the reasons might be. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I just feel like lot of I have a lot of drive to succeed, but also in my marriage and relationship as well. If you're a woman juggling work, motherhood, and trying to stay healthy, you know how easy it is to feel burnt out. The fatigue, the bloating, the restless nights, the hormonal ups and downs that make everything harder. And that's exactly why I love Bioptimizers, supplements that actually work with your biology. Their magnesium breakthrough is one of my daily must haves. It combines all 7 forms of magnesium to calm your nervous system, support hormonal balance, improve sleep, and help you finally feel grounded again. Doesn't that sound nice? And if you're tired of feeling puffy or bloated after meals, their mass enzymes and P3OM probiotics are game changers. They help you digest food properly, reduce inflammation, and keep your gut and mood balanced. Every formula is science-backed, third-party tested, and designed for real results, not just quick fixes. You can try them at bioptimizers.com/biohackingbrittany and use my code biohackingbrittany for 15% off your order. That's bioptimizers.com/biohackingbrittany because when your gut, hormones, and nervous system are supported, everything else feels easier.
Yeah. And I wonder, well, that's like such a, first honoring that like beautiful drive to succeed,
Mhm.
especially how beautiful it's made you grow and evolve in your relationship. And then just always being aware of, and I have to do this with myself, my drive to succeed could drive me insane, to be honest, because I'm so driven to succeed. And actually, I've been really working with that part of me because I had so much judgment about it. Like, I was like, oh my God, I just like, why am I so obsessed with success? Or why am I so obsessed with, you know, whatever, my work or whatever. And I realized in internal family systems, they call it polarization. So it's like, I have the belief that I want to be successful, and then I have the judgment of that belief. And it's like, how can we let go of judgment of whatever is happening? So judgment of self or wanting to have happy marriage or wanting to have, successful marriage, and just being with that desire and getting curious about it and being in right relationship with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually looking at the belief itself and just not judging.
Yeah. I think a lot of women, I'm sure a lot of women in your community, a
Yeah.
lot of women in my community really deeply want to be successful and really want to have a life that they love and become who they came here to be. And there's so many layers to that are human. And there's so many layers to that are soulful. And there's so many layers to that are, us trying to prove, and then also us being in purpose. And so it's a very nuanced game, that we play essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that a lot in most areas of my life, actually. Kind of like what you're saying. And something that I love that you do, and same with Lindsay, is like, I feel like you guys balance that masculine side with feminine really well. Because it can be so masculine of like, let me overwork and overwork out and just overdo everything. And then you reach your goal and then you move the goalpost. And I've done that for so long. For the listeners who may be struggling with that, especially women who are into like longevity and biohacking, which could be so like performance based. How can we like switch gears into our feminine to balance that masculine part that can kind of overrun us?
Yeah, I think it's a really great question. And this is why I think I moved away from wellness so much, because it got so much in the obsession with numbers, where it was like my Aura ring, where it was my step counter, where it was my blood markers, where it was my mineral count, where it was like my weight or all of these things, my steps. And I realized within that, I wasn't living in the actual experience of enjoying the fruits of the labor. It's like, why do we do these things? Always asking yourself why. Why are we doing the blood markers? Why are we doing the steps? Why are we counting all these things? For me, it was to feel good. For me, it was to feel healthy and vital and alive and enjoy my life and have a long, beautiful life. So if I can come back to the why, then I can let go sort of the attachment to the thing. But for so many people that, make the quest for longevity or good health like a part of their process in the masculine, I think that's also disregarding the body as like something beyond just something that can be measured with numbers. And when I really let go of this obsession and belief that my body needed to be controlled, my body needed to be contorted, my body needed to be like, just regimented in things, and just allowed it to sort of be an experience, I not only became more beautiful and more comfortable in my body, but I enjoyed my life so much more. But for someone that's really gripping to that, you have to get really curious about like, what is this part of me that's so obsessed with performance or achievement or success or monitoring or all of these things? And what would it mean for me to loosen the grip? As an example, for me, when I loosened the grip, my biggest fear was to be fat. If I loosen the grip, I'm going to be fat. If I loosen, and that means I will not be loved, I will be rejected, I won't be successful, I won't get what I want in life because of this thing. So people can kind of peel back the layers to the why they're doing this and get really curious. Why am I doing this? And what happens if I don't? They can sort of understand things and sort of loosen the grip. But I think just on a second point, it's like, I think there was like a point on the success piece and like knowing when like everything's enough and knowing when we're successful. It's also being in relationship with people and community that can help you kind of bring back to baseline. It's like my community also remembers and reminds me like who I am, why I'm valuable, what I'm here for. And it's outside of all of those achievement-based things. It's like who I am as a person. So allowing your relationships with your husband, with your kids, with your partner, and with your friends to also be like a reminder of like your experience and existence beyond just like this achievement-based lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. A few years back, I had to start taking a step back because I became too obsessive. It was a while ago, maybe like 5 years. Like my aura ring, like it would be like, oh, this is how you should work out today. And that's how I would work out versus like, how do I actually feel? Like, oh, I'm actually really tired, but it's telling me to do this thing. So I'm just going to go and like do this Peloton ride. But like, you know, um, and so,
Though we've outsourced our intuition our whole lives. Like, if you think about us as a kid, like, we were told to, like, do things we didn't wanna do, go to school in a way that didn't feel good, learn in a way that didn't feel good, learn things we didn't really care about, listen to older people, go to jobs that were uncomfortable, be there 9 to 5 on schedules that didn't really make sense. Like, most of our lives is disregarding what our body actually wants, food-wise, pleasure-wise, experience-wise. So when you come back to the body, it takes a while. It's like a newly developed relationship where you're like, "Oh, I can actually listen to what you're gonna say, and I'm gonna be okay." And so just honoring women in the journey of really coming back to that because it's really like a very radical act.
yeah, it's like a muscle. Like the
Yeah.
more you use it, like the stronger it gets. Absolutely. Um, is there a time recently where you ignored your intuition and then you're like, oh, there it is?
Yeah, I had one where I just knew that doing this experience wasn't, like, gonna be like, I didn't really have an so there was something that I did recently, I didn't really have an intention clear enough, and I didn't really tune into, like, what actually felt good and my intuition about what I was doing and why, and so I went to it, and I was there, and I was like, "I've known this about myself. I've known that I don't like to do group healing work unless I'm facilitating because I'm too sensitive, so I'm kind of attuning to everyone else, I'm worried about everyone else's experience, I'm outside of my body." So I've known that about myself. I don't like to heal in spaces that don't have access to nature or good food or, like direct support with one-to-one experience. So I just knew all of these things and I didn't really listen. And I was just kind of like, oh, I want to get this thing or I want to do this. I want to be seen at this place. And I think I just really should have known and listened to the knowing I have about who I am and just prioritize that over thinking I could get something from something.
Mm, yeah, like focusing on the outcome.
Yep. 100%. I was like so focused on the outcome. But I think now the intuitive hits, like it's sort of a non-negotiable for me to listen to them and to follow them. But yeah, it doesn't always mean, that I'm perfect with it.
Right.
It's
How
scary.
would, Mhm.
It's scary sometimes.
It is. How would someone listening know the difference between intuition and fear or anxiety?
Yeah. I think fear is going to shout at you. Fear is going to be really loud. Fear is going to be something that you can feel in your body. And intuition is usually to be very gentle and quiet. I find the intuition speaks to me when I'm doing things like blow drying my hair or putting my makeup on or like walking. It's like in the moments of in between when things are not loud. It's like, hey, what about this? Like, let's explore this. Sometimes your intuition, if it can't reach you during the day, may reach you in dreams. Your dreams could have messages of your intuition. Um, and with fear, I think this is why it's helpful to do parts work because then you can you can talk to the fear and you can be like, fear, what are you trying to teach me? What do I need to know? And it could be like, this has happened before. You should watch out for this. We know, like there's going to be a conversation that you could essentially have with the fear. And the intuition just is. It's like, it's going to be an invitation. It's going to be like a knowing. It's going to feel like something you want to move toward. And I think sometimes too, you can have direct conversation. I think people forget that they can have a direct conversation with their intuition or their angels or their guides or whoever they work with on that side. It's like, you can say like, hey, like intuition, I see you. I'm not ready. Like, thank you. I do that all the time. I'm like, I see you. I'm not ready. There's something more for me. Like, I want to be here. My human is in choice of this thing. You need to tell me a different way. Or you could even say like, make it clear, make it obvious. Like be in direct communication and communion with your soul and with the communication that you're receiving and ask it to be clear and ask it to be obvious.
I love that. Do you ever get like intuitive hits of, how do I say this? Like predicting the future or like something is going to happen? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm. I will, especially with my so future stuff for collective, I'm in awareness of and I'm attuned to, but not as much. But I think more so when I'm one-on-one with clients, because it's easier for me to attune to them and sort of what's going on and have like a thought or have a message come through. But oftentimes it's like I have to really run it through my filter of like, is this like, I'll ask their guides, like, is this appropriate? Like, is this okay to share? Like, is this like something that you're like willing to happen? But more so I'm reading the energy of the current moment with myself and my life and my clients rather than future predicting. But I do have future predicting thoughts that come through, but I pay less attention because it's like, I don't know, things change so much too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a few moments in the last couple years where I've had these thoughts and then something happens later that day. That's what that thought was in the morning.
Yeah. Hmm.
And it's like weird. And I don't even know what to do with it. Like I just tell my husband and then later the day it happens and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
we'll just leave that there.
Yeah. 100%. I think for me, there's like a predictive nature of certain situations and people. Like I've known a
Mhm.
lot of people where I've been like, yep, exactly. Like I've met them and been like, what's up? Not for me. And then something happens. I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I thought or exactly what I predicted. So my reads on people are usually pretty predictive of like what's going to happen or something. Or like in deep relationship with people, I can be predictive about what will happen for them and then what will happen for us. But like that's such a gift of being a woman. And your husband's so lucky that he can have that like in his life as well.
Mm. Sometimes I explain things to him, like kind of like what you just said of like, I don't like that person's energy. Like I use the word energy and he laughs a lot, but he kind of gets it now. Um, what do you think about people who are like hesitant when you use language like that? Like my family's like that too. Like if I'm like, oh, their energy's off or their vibe is off, like, I think this might be going on with them. They're like, how would you know that? But I'm just like, can't you sense it? Like it's
Yeah.
so obvious. It's right there.
Yeah. Where are you from?
I live in Canada, but originally from South Africa.
Okay, dope. Beautiful. I just get curious. I'm like, okay, because I'm like from the Midwest and it's like a lot like that.
Mm,
So what do I do when people, I'm reminded sometimes in my life that I live in an absolute bubble and the world that I'm in, people totally understand the language I'm using and how I speak
mhm,
and all. So I've created a reality where it's very normal to say what I say and feel what I feel. But when I get back home or when I'm in situations with people that don't speak how I speak, I literally can care less. I'm just like, I'm living in my own experience in my own reality and this is how I talk and this is how I experience. But I'm also not going to be like making anyone uncomfortable, but I've known that my soul experiences life differently than other people and that I am part of a group of beings or people or I'm that are having a different experience than other people. And also, it doesn't make them bad. It doesn't make me bad. I can also explain to them, like, a lot of people can say they don't understand energy, but it's like no one can say that they don't know what it's like to be in a room with someone that they feel weird about. Like, everybody knows what that's like. Everyone knows what that's like to meet someone and be like, I didn't like them, but they didn't even say anything. Like, and so it's like almost just reminding people that they are sensing energy way more than they think. They are in relationship with energy way more than they think. That's why they feel really good when they're on vacation and that's why they don't feel as good when they're in a room where their boss is giving them bad feedback. It's like, that's like, it's kind of like taking the frame of like, no, this is all an experience that we're having. But I've worked really hard to sort of let go of the perception that I need to change who I am because someone doesn't understand me. It's like, yeah, that's kind of the point. Most people are sort of living in lives that I don't really want to live in. And so
yeah.
they're going to think what they think and I'm going to think what I think.
Yeah. Honestly, and that's part of the Saturn return is like, this is who I am and I'm okay with that.
100%. It's huge. How have you felt like your journey's been with that?
Very much that of like, I've been into health for a very long time. And my family thought it was weird for a very long time, but I just stuck with it. And then because it just felt like, why would I compromise my values for other people?
Exactly. I mean, to honestly, it's like I'm so shocked. I'm like, how are people confused about health? Like, I'm like what?
Yeah. Yeah. They used to make fun of me for like drinking nut milk, like the most basic thing,
Uh-huh. Yeah, I've
you
been
know?
there. Totally.
I,
Totally.
and then now it's like I go to their houses or whoever and like it's in the fridge
Of course. Say
because
less.
Yeah, they're drinking it, or they know I'm coming, or they're so proud at Christmas to be like, "Oh, Brittany, this is like gluten-free, like over here." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Wow, thank you so much."
I haven't eaten meat since I was 18 or 19. My mom still, every single holiday, "Are you still not eating meat?" I'm like, "Yep, at year whatever, I'm still not eating meat." That's a true statement.
Oh.
Like, but it's if you're gonna be this is the thing is, like, I think a lot of the listeners in my community, they want different experiences and different realities than their parents, said with love. And so that means you're gonna make different decisions and do different things and make different choices. And, to become who you wanna be means you have to listen to yourself over anyone else. And you're gonna be tested in small moments of nut milk, of, your
Mhm.
family, of these things. And it's a huge part of how you create and sculpt a life that's, like, unique to you.
Yeah, yeah, that's really beautiful. Yeah, and I don't know, I'm very internally motivated, and so,
Yeah.
like, I'm not externally motivated. You know what I mean? So even in, like, workouts, like, I can work out by myself on an app or even by myself and have no issues, whereas some people love to, like, go to classes and, like, play hockey or play sports or whatever. Um, but I can imagine for a lot of people, it would be really hard, especially if you have friends and family who are, like, very opposite beliefs, even politically as well, would be very difficult to deal with.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think if you want to yeah, I think if you fully accept yourself and who you are, what you believe, what you are into, what you stand for, it becomes a lot easier to receive pushback and feedback.
Mhm,
Even me as a public figure, it's like,
mhm.
there's parts of, I'm sure I'm not perfect. There's parts of myself that I probably don't accept, but because I accept myself, it's easier to receive stuff. Like the other day, someone DM'd me and she's like, "Krista, chill with the filters." Cause I use a filter. I love using a filter. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm going to use a filter. And I just went like, hee hee, I like it. Like, I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm accepting that I use a filter. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna be playful and, like, just acknowledge she has an opinion and I have an opinion and it doesn't matter. But if I was insecure about something or not accepting of that, it might trigger me. So the more we accept ourselves and what we believe,
mhm.
how we want to live our lives, just like you've done, the easier it is to be with people that disagree and the less we're trying to change them or change ourselves.
Yeah, because their opinion is actually not a true reflection of you.
100%. But this is very hard work to do for people, but it's some of the
Mhm,
most worthwhile work of your life. And I think for anyone that's listening, if you want to become someone that has impact, if you want to become someone that has a brand or a mission or a purpose or go on stages or have a following or be a speaker, whatever, you have to be a person that is unique and yourself and not defined by everyone else because that's how you survive. And that's also how you differentiate yourself and become your own, like,
yes.
brand or your own person.
Yeah, you have to be polarizing in some aspect.
Yeah, yeah, I could be better at that. Not that I'm not. I bet I am in some ways, but I think the more polarizing, the more popular.
Yeah, yeah, especially on social media. Yeah, the more opinionated, the more popular, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whether it's good or bad, it kind of
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, gets the views, gets the clicks, you know? Okay, we're gonna hop over to my private community for a couple of questions that I have for you. They're a little juicy. But before we do that, for this podcast, if people want to connect with you, work with you, how can they do that and where can they find you?
Yeah, so it's Krista, so ITSKRISTA on Instagram. I'm really into body stuff right now, so just talking about body love and body acceptance, because I have my program Metamorphosis launching in January. And then Almost 30 podcast or Morning Microdose, which is our clip show, are both really good places to find me. So it's Krista.com, it's Krista on Instagram, and then Almost 30.
Amazing. Okay, I will put that in the show notes and on the website so everyone can find you easily. Okay, we are going to hop over to my private community. Okay. Thank you for listening to Biohacking with Brittany. I hope today's conversation gave you something to take into your own life, a practice, a perspective, or simply a reminder to trust your body. If you love this episode, please leave a review, share it with someone else who could benefit, and join me over on Instagram at biohackingbrittany for more. And if you're ready to go deeper, you can explore my retreats, community, favorite tools, all linked for you in the show notes. Until next time, remember, your body already knows.